I have absolutely zero reservations about committing to Cameron for the rest of my life. He is absolutely everything I've ever wanted in a husband. A lot of people when they get married, they hope that their husband will be the father that they envision for their children, and I'm fortunate in that I already get to know that he is absolutely the father that I want for my children.
Fall is here, hear the yell, back to school, ring the bell, brand new shoes, walking blues, climb the fence, books and pens, I can tell that we are gonna be friends. I can tell that we are gonna be friends.
I was just sitting in the back watching my class and sitting next to a guy who was also a graduate assistant coach at Whittier College. He was the basketball coach, I was the water polo coach. And we saw this chick off in the distance and we were both like, oh man, there's the hot teacher. At that time I was just thinking like, man, I'm in class and subbing and this sucks, and whoa, there's a hot chick. I want to go get to know her.
Before I met him, if I would have written up a list of everything, every quality I would want in a life partner, he meets them all. It was the very first Christmas for me that I celebrated without, the typical things that I do with my family back home, because I celebrate Christmas on January 7th, being raised Orthodox, and so, and I almost always take that day, or I always take that day off of work too, even if I'm not doing a big celebration. I still take the day off of work just to kind of celebrate and acknowledge the day, and I just didn't because I was short on days off of work, and so that kind of set the tone for me, just feeling sad that day that I had to go to work and I wasn't going to be with my family and we weren't going to have the big dinner and open presents and stuff like that. And Cameron, knew that I was kind of feeling down about it, and so when I came home from work, he surprised me and told me that we were going into the city.
I got home that day from work and I told Ivana right after I got home, I said, babe, you're not going to be warm enough. And she looked at me with this funny look on her face and just was like, what are you talking about? And I was like, you're gonna be cold. You should probably put some more clothes on. And I was standing on a ladder when I told her this in the garage, and she goes, what? And I'm like, we're going ice skating. Like, you should probably, get dressed. Well, funny thing is that ice skating was somewhat of a tradition for us, because the first time she and I went ice skating was at this memorable trip that we took to San Luis Obispo. Anyway, so ice skating had this meaning behind it. She was super excited about it, couldn't believe that we were actually going to do something in celebration of the Russian Orthodox Christmas that night, and that I had set up my dad to stay that night with Zephyr, so it could just be me and her. And so we got in the car, drove out to San Francisco, and meanwhile, I had one of my friends, Joseph Gagliardo, who's one of my best men, waiting right near the ice rink with a GoPro, camera, and a bouquet of flowers. And so we got there and got our skates on, got on the ice rink. I had warm jacket on with the ring in my pocket, and had this plan set up with Joe that eventually I would start holding my hand up and let him know how many more times we'd go around the rink until I would suddenly fall down. And so I had this whole plan to fall down and then get Ivana to pick me up, and I'd get on a knee and hand her the ring.
So he's, prides himself on being athletic, and he kind of teases people when they, wimp out on things too early or whatever. But the first time we went ice skating, he was complaining like the second time around the rink that his feet hurt, and he wanted to get off the ice, and he was kind of wobbly and stuff. So that was one time where I kind of felt like I had the upper hand on him.
Got in front of Ivana and kind of did this little fumbling act with my heels and fell right down onto my back. And Ivana came skating up, just giggling and laughing that I had fallen. And in her mind, she was so stoked that I was the person to fall, and she was the one that didn't fall first. And so anyways, she grabbed a hold of my hand, and then she grabbed a hold of the side railing. Meanwhile, Joe is like right next to her in her face with the GoPro, and she doesn't even notice him, and she's trying to like rip me up to like get me up off the ice, but she's not looking at me, and I'm sitting there down on one knee like waiting for her to look at me so I could just be like, will you marry me? And then finally I like pull her towards me, and she like turns around and looks, and I got the ring all out and everything, and I asked her to marry me, and she said yes. It was like a super amazing moment, and Ivana almost fainted on the ice, so she felt really short of breath. We had to get off the ice quick, and then from there, Joe came with the bouquet of flowers, and we took a bunch of pictures, and then we had a great night eating dinner at Bobo's in San Francisco.
Deciding to make a lifetime commitment to someone is a huge decision that shouldn't be taken lightly, obviously, and I have absolutely zero reservations about committing to Cameron for the rest of my life. He's absolutely everything I've ever wanted in a husband. You know, a lot of people when they get married, they hope that their husband will be the father that they envision for their children, and I'm fortunate in that I already get to know that he is absolutely the father that I want for my children. I'm excited. You know, we've lived our lives together as a family for a long time now and have been committed to one another for a long time now, but this is where we're, formally making that commitment in front of our friends, in front of our family, to one another, symbolically, and to celebrate too. It's definitely worthy of celebration, the fact that we've made this wonderful family together and are excited to, see what life brings us in the next chapters.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today in the quaint town of Murphy's to witness and celebrate the union of Cameron and Ivana.
When the night has come and the land is dark and the moon.
I, Cameron Brunst, love you, Ivana Orla, with all my heart. You are my best friend, the one and only. On this day, I publicly pronounce the vows that already reside within my heart. I promise to trust you. As a product of that trust, I willingly choose vulnerability. For when I make the mistakes I am bound to make, I know that you will never forsake me, but instead serve as a refuge of love and forgiveness, even in my lowest moments. And I, in turn, will provide the same for you. As individuals, we are strong, but as partners, we are stronger. I vow to place our partnership above my personal desires and strive to challenge my shortcomings so that I may further solidify our union. As your partner, I represent you. Even in your absence, I commit to honor you, promote you, protect you, and support you. I promise to encourage and celebrate your personal development and desires, even if they differ from my own. When you speak, I pledge to quiet my thoughts in order to more fully listen to yours. I promise to temper my feelings in order to better understand your perspective. Even amongst the daily demands of life, I promise to foster our love with fun, excitement, and creativity. I give you the best of me, my heart, my soul forever.
I, Ivana Orla, love you, Cameron Brunst, with all my heart. You are my best friend and one and only. On this day, I publicly pronounce the vows that already reside within my heart. I promise to trust you. As a product of that trust, I willingly choose vulnerability. But when I make the mistakes, I'm down to me. I know that you will never forsake me. but instead serve as a refuge of love and forgiveness, even in my lowest moments. And I, in turn, will provide this for you. As individuals, we are strong, but as partners, we are stronger. I vow to place our partnership above my personal desires and strive to challenge my shortcomings so that I might further solidify our union. And as your partner, I represent you. Even in your absence, I commit to honor you, promote you, protect you, and support you. I promise to encourage and celebrate your personal development and desires, even if they differ from my own. When you speak, I pledge to quiet my thoughts in order to more fully listen to yours. I promise to temper my feelings in order to better understand your perspective. Even amongst the daily demands of life, I promise to foster our love with fun, excitement, and creativity. I give you the best of me, my heart, and soul forever.
By the power of forces greater than our humble understanding, and by the power of your love and commitment to each other, and by the power vested in me, I now pronounce you husband and wife. Cameron, you may now kiss your bride. Friends and family, I now present to you the newly married couple.
All the guys will come out, and when the song turns on, you'll be the first one to drop your drawers, and then I want you to kick your shoes to the side. And then as soon as he's done kicking his shoes off, that's when the rest of you guys will then rip them all off.
And wake up.
Kick, knee, kick.
I'm sexy and I know it. Yeah, when I'm at the mall, security just can't fight them all. And when I'm at the beach, I'm in a Speedo trying to tan my cheeks. This is how I roll. Come on, ladies, it's time to go. We headed to the bar, baby, don't be nervous. No shoes, no shirt, and I still get service. Watch. Girl, look at that body. Girl, look at that body. Girl, look at that body.
Ladies and gentlemen, for the first time as husband and wife, please welcome Mr. and Mrs. Bronx.
Through the life story of Cameron and Ivana. The groom is waiting anxiously, their moment is arriving. His son and Posey Ray are first and both of them are smiling. His bride is coming down the aisle, ooh, she looks amazing. Cam, he said I do. Ivana, she said I do too. Promise to be true after all that they've been through. And why? Because it will always be me and you. There's a million things that they will do. Just you wait. What we hear of Cameron and Ivana Bronx.
I love you guys so much. Thank you for being here. Big toast. Cheers.
We did it!